everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lorraine Rose, and if you're new here, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It means so much. So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I make homemade bone broth. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is purchase your bones. Now what I did, you can call a butcher shop, but I found that Whole Foods was actually a lot more inexpensive than it was to go get my bones from a butcher shop, and so I called Whole Foods and I told them that I wanted beef marrow bones, and so those are the bones that I like to use for my bone broth, and I bought 8 pounds worth and it was $28, but that will be enough for me to have 2 cups a day for 30 days. When I make my bone broth, I like to make it in bulk, so that's going to be the first thing you're going to want to get. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is roast your bones, and so, sorry, that kind of sounds funny to me. So what you want to do is set your oven to 350 degrees, so I'm going to do that now. You just want to take a couple of roasting pans and put your beef bones on your roasting pans. You're going to want to place your bones in the oven for 30 minutes. Okay, so now that the oven is preheated, I'm going to go ahead and add my bone marrows and I'm going to let it cook in the oven for 30 minutes. Okay, so for my bone broth, I'm going to use 2 pots just because I'm making so much. So I'm using this stock pot as well as this stock pot. So the ingredients that I'm using, I'm going to be putting them into bowls. That way I can just dump each bowl into each stock pot because I'm going to be adding carrots, onions, and celery to this bone broth. I don't want to put everything in a bowl and then try to divide it evenly. So I'm just going to divide those ingredients evenly into 2 bowls, and that leads me to the next step. While the bones are cooking, I'm going to chop up my veggies. So let's go do that now. Right, so here are my 2 bowls that I'm using. So I'll put 2 of the cut up onions into one bowl and 2 of these into the other bowl. So you want to cut these up into big chunks. To peel the second onion. And we're going to just do the same for these onions. So I'm just going to put those into this bowl. Then you want to take 8 organic carrots and cut them up. And I'm going to cut these up. And then you want to take 8 celery sticks. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes, so I'm going to take the bones out of the oven now. Okay, so now I'm going to add the bone marrows to my 2 stock pots. Now I filled each stock pot up with 2 gallons of water, so that's 4 gallons of water total. And now I'm going to just divide the bones in between the 2 stock pots. Okay, so it has been 30 minutes and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the veggies that I cut up into their pots that they go into, so I'm going to do that now. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the heat on high. And I'm going to let the water get to a rapid boil. Okay, and we're going to just wait for the water to come to a boil. Okay, my water is at a rapid boil. So now I'm going to show you what you do once your water comes to a rapid boil. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to let it simmer with the lids on for 9 hours, but for the first 2 hours, every 20 minutes, you want to scrape off the foam that comes up to the top. Those are the impurities. So yes, first 2 hours, for every 20 minutes, scrape the impurities off the top, and then you just cook on a simmer for 7 hours after that. Okay, you guys, so it has been 9 hours. My bone broth is done cooking, so I'm going to show you what to do next. Okay, you guys, so what you're going to want to do in small batches is you're going to want to strain your bone broth through a fine mesh strainer into a bowl once it's totally cool. So my bone broth is completely cool, and then you want to pour it into sterile glass jars, which basically what that means is I took some mason jars and I ran them through the dishwasher through a full cycle, and so now they're completely clean and sterile. And I'm gonna put my bone broth into my mason jars, and then I'll show you what I do next. But this is the finished product. Guys, so here is the finished product. I've made enough bone broth for 30 days. That's 2 cups a day, and it's so yummy and so good for you. And if you're wanting to freeze any of your jars like I'm going to do, then you're going to want to just take a glass mason jar with a freezer safe lid. I will leave a link to these lids down in the description box below. I purchased these off of Amazon and they're freezer safe, and I like them because you can reuse them, whereas, you know, the aluminum ones that I have here, I did have like 3 of these from some new jars that I purchased. They can tend to rust over time, and so I just like to purchase these plastic ones, that way I can reuse them and I don't have to worry about them rusting. And also, if you're going to freeze them, you're going to want to leave head space. So I filled up my jars, these larger quart-sized mason jars, 3 cups full. And then after 3 cups full, you'll have enough head space at the top. That way when your liquids go to freeze, whenever liquids freeze, they expand. Your glass jars won't bust. They'll have enough room to grow in there. So that's just a little tip. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave me a comment in the comment section below, not only letting me know what you think about this recipe, but let me know how your bone broth recipe turned out, and let me know what you'd like to see me do a video on next. And don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, I love you guys so much. Bye!